Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be ranking all of Paul McCartney's studio albums. So I've had this video requested like a good few times on my channel, and I've done this about 3 years ago, pretty soon after I started it. However my list it has changed a little bit. So yeah, in this video I will include all of his solo records and his Wings albums, and also Electric Arguments by the Fireman. I don't own any of the other Fireman albums, and I won't be including his classical works, and his other experimental projects would feature in this video. Also, just to reiterate as well, this is my personal opinion as to what I consider his best albums. It is a slightly unconventional list, and I'll try in this video to keep my comments on each of the albums as short as possible, because there are 25 albums to go through here. I've done reviews on most of them, and if not, I probably will do reviews sometime in the future for each of them. But yeah, for each of the albums, I will say a few words about them, and then select one standout track. So yeah, we'll just get to it and start off the list with number 25. So yeah, coming in at number 25 would be the Russian album Back in the USSR. For me, yeah, this is a covers album, and the actual song choices themselves are quite good. He does Kansas City on here, 20 Flight Rock, That's Alright Mama, Ain't That a Shame. Lots of great rock and roll classics. However, for me, it really sounds his heart wasn't in it, making this album. The arrangement of these songs, they're all very much the same sort of sound, same sort of band performing it. I would say my favourite track on here would be Don't Get Around Much Anymore. I think that's a great song, and McCartney does a really good version of it on this album.
My Valentine.
Next up is one of his more recent albums from 2012, I think it is, Kisses on the Bottom. So yeah, this is a American songbook album. This was also the first McCartney album to be released where I was a fan, and if I could be honest, it was a little bit of a disappointment. It really isn't my thing personally. These are also older songs from the 40s and 50s, but it is quite commendable that you would do something like this, quite an interesting thing to do. My favourite track on here would be My Valentine, which was one of his original compositions for the album. So yeah, not a bad one here. Kisses on the Bottom, although not one that I regularly go to.
Bring a bag of bread and cheese, find a shady spot beneath the tree.
Next one at number 23 is Wings Wildlife here. This is an album what's sort of recently been getting re-evaluated. A lot of people really appreciate it's sort of very lo-fi quality. It's quite sort of bare bones, quite raw music. However, for me, it is a bit of a rushed mess. There's nothing really too great on here. Pretty much the whole of the first side is a write-off. Mumbo bit, but Love is Strange is quite good. Wildlife, yeah, is not so good either. My favourite one on here though would be Tomorrow, which I think is a really great song. Really captures this period in McCartney's life quite well.
No more lonely nights.
Now at number 22, we've got his album Give My Regards to Broad Street, which was the soundtrack to his 1984 film What Flopped. This album consists of mostly pointless Beatles covers, and also redos of various solo material. The reason why though that this one beats out Wildlife and Kisses on the Bottom is because of the 3 new songs, which are No More Lonely Nights, Not Such a Bad Boy, and No Values. All of which I think a really good pick of the bunch of them would be No More Lonely Nights. So brilliant song, one of his all-time classics.
I don't want no other baby boy.
Okay, so now at number 21 on my list, like I've got like his final covers album like for like this list. It is 1999's Run Devil Run here. Like a much better like rock and roll record than like the Russian album that was. Like I prefer like the song selection, like it's not like as like obvious like on here, like the songs he's doing, like also like it's like sort of like a wide range like of like arrangements like as well, like they don't all sound the same like these songs here. Couple of like dud tracks, like it is like a slightly longer album, 15 tracks like in total here, although like Paul, he does sound like energized like on like this album, like real sort of like really like into it, like you can tell that like he is having a good time making this record. Favourite track on here would be No Other Baby. That's got like a fantastic like music video like as well, so yeah, a pretty strong covers album here, Run Devil Run. Next up now at number 20, like is like another slightly a mixed bag. It is the album Pipes of Peace from 1983. So yeah, there are like some pretty good tracks on here, such as the title song, like I quite like Say, like also like the final track, like Through All Love, like it is like very good, but it is more like by like two like pointless songs, like on like side 2, Hey Hey and like Tug of Peace, just like both real crap, like throwaway like instrumental songs. Yeah, like I can kind of like do without those songs personally. Favourite one on here though would be Keep Undercover, which I think like is like a really fine like little pop song. What works like quite well on this album. So yeah, that's Pipes of Peace at number 20.
I could spend eternity inside your loving.
Okay, now number 19. Now an album which is hated by like a lot of Beatles fans. It is Driving Rain here. But for me, like I quite like this album. Like it isn't like unlistenable like by like any means. Like there are some really good tracks like on like this album. Although, like I would say, like Run Devil Run, like is quite long. Like I like some of the songs that they do like go on like a little bit. Favorite track would be Your Loving Flame, which I think like is like a really like lovely ballad.
Some people wanna fill the world with silly love songs.
Okay, at number 18, we've got Wings at the Speed of Sound here. Like this is what like I know like a lot of like older like McCartney fans, like sort of like first generation fans, like if like you will, like would put this album like quite a bit higher because this was like Wings like at like the peak of like their popularity. For me though, this album like it is like a little bit like inconsistent. We get like 2 massive hit singles, Let 'Em In and Silly Love Songs. However, half the album like McCartney like doesn't sing on. Like each like of like the other Wings members like gets a song each, like including Linda, like unfortunately. So yeah, like there are like some like slightly like lackluster songs, and like even like some like of like McCartney's like contributions such as San Ferian and like Warm and Beautiful, like all like slightly like underwhelming like songs. Favourite track favourite track like on here though would be Silly Love Songs, like the obvious one like to go for. But yeah, like a true like McCartney classic, that song. Now at number 17, we've got his debut solo album from 1970, the McCartney album here. For me, this one like is like one like a lot of people probably like would put higher. This is like one of like his more like loved albums, but for me like it is like quite like inconsistent. Like again, we have some classic songs that maybe I'm Amazed like is on this album, like Every Night like is brilliant junk. But then there's some like instrumental tracks which are like a little bit questionable, such as like Hot as Sun, OU and like Green Akori. So yeah, for me that's slightly like inconsistent. But like definitely favourite track like would be maybe I'm Amazed, just a classic song there. Next one now is Wings' second album released in 1973, Red Rose Speedway, and this was certainly like a massive step up like from like Wildlife, like in like my like opinion. Like I mean like the songs are like a lot more like fully formed. There's some brilliant tracks on here like such as My Love, which was a massive hit for him. Get On The Right Thing, like, is also very good, and like Little Lime Dragonfly would be my favourite. Like, also really enjoy like the medley, like at like the end, like off this album, like that, like off like often comes in for like some flack. Like, but for me, like I like do quite enjoy it. So yeah, that's Rose Speedway at number 16 on like on my list.
Just me and you, never little love. We can
Right now, another Wings album for number 15. I'm going for their London Town album here. Now, this is at the point, like in like the list, like where like the albums have pretty much mostly great songs on them. This is an album which like I like really like enjoy like spinning like from time to time. Like, we've got some brilliant tracks on it. Favorite though probably would be With a Little Luck, I think. Like, yeah, like the hit single, but such a brilliant, fantastic pop song. Okay, now the next one at number 14 is McCartney II here. One of his more like interesting like works for me. Like, this was like coming like after like Wings, like kind of like the breakup like of that. Like the archive book there, like the blue one there, it's so interesting. Like sort of like reading like the backstory like behind this album. The music on it, like, it is like also really good, like a lot more like electronic like sounds like on here, like a lot more like experimental, just a really sort of quirky album. Favourite song though probably would be like the more kind of like sort of like traditional like McCartney classic sound, with like One of These Days, just such a beautiful like acoustic number like to close the album. Next up now, number 13, like, is like one which I would reckon that like a lot of people like would say, why the hell like do you have this one like so high? Press to Play is Press to Play here like is like the one that like I'm talking about. And like, but for me, I have always had like a little bit like of like a soft spot like for this album. For me, this was like quite like a like ambitious album and quite experimental like as well. I think that this was like the last time that McCartney was like really like pushing like new ground like as like a solo artist, like under like his own name, like that is like trying out like a wide variety like of like new things. Like Pretty Little Head like is like just such a crazy song. Like Talk More Talk, like very similar. Favorite though probably would be Good Times Coming and like Feel the Sun. Just a really great like summery track there. So yeah, that is Press to Play at number 13. Okay, so now at number 12, I'm going for the album Back to the Egg Wings album from 1979. This is one what like used to be like one of like my personal favourites, like however slowly it has been like dropping down like my ranking. Reason for that, like I think like there's a couple of like weaker cuts like on side 2, like such as like Rockestra Theme, like The Broadcast, and like Baby's Request. Like I've never been like huge like on like that song personally. Favourite track though would actually be the Denny Lane contribution to the album, Again and Again and Again. Such a fantastic pop song. Like the whole of like the first side to this album, like it is like really solid, I think. So yeah, that's Back to the Egg, a pretty good album from Wings, 1979. That's now going forward to the 90s, 1993 for the next one, which is Off the Ground here. This is a really strong album, I think. Like every song like is really great. Like a couple like maybe do go on a little bit, like I Owe It All For You and like Peace in the Neighborhood like do have like quite long sort of fade outs. But the actual songs themselves like are like really great, really consistent album. Favourite though would be one of the Elvis Costello co-writes, Mistress and May. Such a great song, like lyrically, like musically, like it's such like evocative, like imagery, like in like that song. Like I think it works really well.
This one is lighting above the ocean.
And now at number 10, like going for like off the ground sort of like sister album, like if like you will, it is Flowers in the Dirt from I think about 3 years before, like 1989. This one came out, like recently been like reissued, and like the reissue like it has like given me like kind of like a whole sort of like new like appreciation like for this album. Like certainly shows like what this album like could have been. Like the Elvis Costello co-writes are all stunning songs. Only like a few like made it onto this album, but like there's also like some great like sort of like solo like McCartney like songs like what like he wrote himself, like Put It There and like Figure of Eight. My favourite though would be this one, which I really love. It's like that inconsistent album, like in terms like of like sound and like style, but like that like can be like a good thing, like when like the song quality like is like up to scratch, and like for the most part it is up to scratch on this album, Flowers in the Dirt. Okay, so now at number 9, going for the only Fireman album, which I am including in this list. It is the album Electric Arguments, which was released in 2008, I think, 2008, 2009 sort of time. This is brilliant, real great album. Like again, like it's quite long, but like it really has like a great sort of like flow to it. It starts off like with like a lot more kind of like poppy songs, like, but like then like it goes towards these more experimental, slightly longer instrumental tracks, all of which I think are like really great. Like again, like this is McCartney like, pushing himself like almost like 5 decades like into like his like career. But yeah, my favourite song like on here probably would be Highway. Like I think like that's like a really like great rocker, but there's so many fantastic tracks like on this album. Certainly worth checking out, like if like you haven't like heard of this album.
So I've been waiting on the other side for your friends to go.
Okay, so now at number 8, we've got his 2005 album, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. This is maybe his best album, like in terms of like lyrical like perspective. Like these songs like are so like finely like written, like I think like lyrically like it's stunning. Musically though, it gets a little bit like monotonous, like a little bit boring. Like a lot of these songs like are like acoustic like arrangements, like either like sort of like acoustic guitars, like or like piano. Like there's not a lot of like variety like in terms of sound. However, like that like against like the fantastic songwriting like balances out to make one hell of a fantastic album here. Favourite track though would be like Friends to Go. Like I think like that one like is like one of like McCartney's best songs ever, like I think.
Oh, yes, indeed, we know that people will find a way to go no matter.
Okay, so now at number 7, I'm going for Wings' album from 1975, which is Venus and Mars here. This was Wings like at like the height of their success, and like this is like a really sort of again like a varied album. There's sort of like rock, like sort of like classic rock sort of sounds, like in terms of like Rock Show and like Letting Go, like and like more sort of bluesy stuff as well, like Magneto and Titanium Man, like Medicine Jar, music hall sort of stuff, like You Gave Me the Answer, like New Orleans kind of soul stuff, like Call Me Back Again. Like I like just like pure pop as well, like Listen to What the Man Said. Just such a like wide variety like of like songs, and like they are all like for the most part really fantastic. Favourite though probably would be Listen to What the Man Said, like a massive like #1 hit like for Wings. Like yeah, a great song like from a really great album here.
I will hold you for.
Okay, so now just missing out on like the top 5, this album from like 1997 like is also like one of like his most acclaimed works. It is Flaming Pie here. Yeah, another again varied album, like lots of different like sort of like sounds like and like songwriting like styles like on here. Like it really shows like his strong like melodic talent, but also like lyrically like as well, like a lot like these songs like are like very strong, like very touching songs. This was like just like as like Linda like had like contracted like cancer, and that she was like in like her like final like days and that. So yeah, like some of like these songs like are like really touching, really beautiful stuff. My favourite probably though would be Calico Skies, which yeah is a brilliant song. Just such a simple song, but like such like a beautiful track as well.
I've got too much on my plate. Don't have no time.
Okay, so now coming into the top 5, starting it off with his 2007 album, 10 years now since this, which is Memory Almost Full. For me, this was the first McCartney album, like what like I got to know. Like this is one what like my dad had like on CD, like we used to like play it a lot. And like it was really sort of like my introduction like to like old things like Beatles really. Like again, like I think like it like shows his talent like for like not like repeating himself like on like an album. Like all these songs like all like very different sort of styles. Favourite probably would be Ever Present Past, which I just love. Like I love like the lyrics to it as well. Like I like sort of like relate to them. Like I'm like musically like as well, it sounds so vibrant, so like upbeat. So yeah, a really great album here, Memory Almost Full from 2007. Okay, so next up now, number 4, I'm going for his 1971 release here. They're a bit far away now, like these albums here, that's why I'm sort of stretching over there, but we're going for Ram here. This one, like a lot of people like would consider like McCartney's like masterpiece. Like it combines like the very sort of like homesprung like spirit like of like McCartney and like Wildlife, like with like a more sophisticated like arrangement, like such like a fine like songcraft like as well, like melodically. Like this album like is just like absolutely stunning. Favourite track though, like the song that like exemplifies like all that, like would be Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Like real creative, real like wacky song. But like it just works like so well. Like it's a brilliant track, but like I never get tired of hearing.
In years to come, they may discover.
Okay, so now top 3. Starting this is his 1982 album, which is Tug of War here. For me, this shows like his like pop genius. These songs are all really catchy, like really like strong, like melodically, like again. And like it's just such a consistent like listen really, like it is like one that like I really like enjoyed playing. Like I have a great time like listening to this album. George Martin's production like also like really helps. Like it just sounds like such a brilliant album. Favourite songs, like it was very hard to pick for this album. I would say the title song, like personally for me, like I think like the lyrics to that is stunning, the tune is great, and like also production wise, like the strings, they work really really well to like enhance this track. So yeah, Tug of War, brilliant song, brilliant album like as well, like on the whole.
Just in time while I'm searching for a ride.
Okay, so now at number 2, like this is like one that would be probably like quite a surprising choice, like for like most people to be like within like my top 3, like let alone like my top 10 McCartney albums possibly. But for me, this album like means like so much to me. Like it is new from 2013. This was like the first sort of like proper like McCartney album, like not counting Kisses on the Bottom, like what was released like when like I was like already like a big fan of his. Like and like this is like my go-to album like for like a whole year. Like there's not a bad track on it really. Like it's such a consistent album like in terms like of quality, but like in terms like of like sounds and like styles, like it's very different. Like he used like 4 different producers like for this album, like to great effect. Like I think like to make like a really like diverse album. Favourite track though, I would say is probably New. Again, like for like sentimental reasons, like when like that song like was first like previewed like in like August like 2013, like I just like fell in love with it like immediately. Yeah, just a real great album here, like from someone like so far like into like his like career to make something so good, like sound like so sort of like youthful, like a lot of like energy, like it's really like remarkable. But now at number 1, this is probably like an obvious one to go for, but I think that he will never top this album. It is Band of Their Own, classic album here. The songs, I think, like there's only 8 songs, but they are all, 9 tracks actually, sorry, but they are all terrific. Every single track is like a classic, 10 out of 10 for like the most part for every track like on here. Like also like considering like the circumstances in like which like this was made, like Wings, like the first like lineup like had like kind of like broken up like just before this album like was due to get made. Like also like in like Lagos, like where like they recorded it, like the studio like was literally like falling apart. McCartney played most of like the instruments like on this album. Like and like considering like all that, like it is remarkable that it turned out to be like the highlight like of like his whole like solo career. Favourite track again was very difficult to choose, but like in the end I went for 1985, the closing song. Such a great track, like the piano like on it, so fun, like lyrically like it's like great as well. Yeah, just a real brilliant way to end the album, I think. So yeah, I hope I kept that brief enough. Like, I was aiming for like under like half an hour like with this video, which I think like I like achieved. So yeah, to summarise, like McCartney, like he has like such a great like body of work, like right like from like his earliest like recordings like Ram and like Band on the Run, right up like to like the present day, like with New and like Memory Almost Full. Like his albums are like for the most part, like anyway, real great, really consistent like listens. So yeah, like I would like to know what like yous would like rank like these albums, like where like you would like put them as like your list like will probably like differ like to mine. But like aside from that, like I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time for the next one. Goodbye.